AEW is AEW-hausen. Did I do that right?
Yes, you could have also said very nice, very evil.
Mm-hmm. Very nice, very evil-hausen.
No, like...
Dan AEW. Dan Break.
So you had a very good
Very beach.
You had a very good line about this in your review, which is that it's almost like Thanos being revealed at the end of the Avengers. Half the audience being like, and the other half being like, I can't wait for that person to tell me who this is.
Danhausen is someone who I've seen around a lot, and I'm very aware of all the stuff. Just don't fully understand what's happening. But I'm excited for it. I'm Ollie Davis. I'm joined by Luke Owen, DAD. Welcome to this very blue-looking edition. Is that bluer than usual?
No, not at all.
Cool. Is that a Danhausen thing?
bit of blue foot, lads.
Very blue? Very evil?
Very blue, very uncolor corrected.
This is the AEW Beach and Hausen Very Break special review episode, which is brought to you by Wine 52. It's massive! Look at it!
I think some people are pointing out, because it's on auto, I think that the color is corrected because of the massive yellow that's in the...
Do you think?
Well, that's what someone has suggested, because it does look very blue now that you've said it.
But tell us about Wine 52.
Wine 52. Hey, we've been sponsored by Beer 52 a lot. We've been sponsored by...
Did that actually change it?
We have been sponsored by Beer 52 a lot in the past, and we absolutely love them. And now they bring you Wine 52. Get yourself a free case of wine. You get 3 bottles for free. All you got to do is pay for that wonderful postage and packaging. Click the link in the video description down below to get a hold of this. An excellent, wonderful service. You get snacks, you get a magazine, and 3 awesome wines. You could choose from red, you could choose from white, or get yourself a little mixed bag. You might be able to get it in time for the Rumble, or get yourself and your partner a very fancy Valentine's gift, because it is coming up soon. It'll creep up on you.
So if you also have like a live streaming setup, I think you can also use it as a color correction device. Look, we look fine now. The red.
Yeah, but then if you switch around to yellow.
So enjoy this audio podcast, listeners. Now it's yellow. Is it getting blue? It's subtle. I think it's getting blue.
This is great content. I'm sure this is exactly what Wine 52 wanted from our sponsorship deal as well. Please do click the link in the video description down below, because it supports us, it supports Wine 52, and it is an excellent service. And you know who is an excellent surprise for an episode, for a wrestling show?
That's not even a segue.
Of course it is.
Where's the segue there?
Well, the segue is...
The surprise is in the box.
No, my surprise was, it's an excellent service, and this was an excellent surprise.
Okay.
Because...
That is a freaking Charlie Caruso grade segue.
I learned from the best. Because I think most people went into this show, me included, thinking, I know who's debuting tonight. It's old Johnny Wrestling. It's Johnny Gargano. And it wasn't just me. It wasn't just a lot of the chats that we had last week. It wasn't just a lot of the chats that we've had on the WrestleTalk podcast for the last few weeks. It was 98% of the people who were in the building that night. In fact, leading to Johnny Wrestling chants from the crowd, because I thought this will be the moment that Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Gargano, who has left NXT, left WWE, will debut. And it wasn't.
It's his hometown. It was Cleveland, Ohio.
Exactly, yeah, but it wasn't Gargano. Instead, it was Danhausen. And I would argue that made it better. Because I was spending so much time thinking Gargano was going to appear, and I was thinking, like, well, Gargano will be at the end of the show. Danhausen was a legit surprise. I literally, like, jaw agape, being like, huh? So my wife was in the room. She brought the kid down at 7, so she came down about an hour into the show. And she brought the kid down, and I was like, oh my God, Danhausen! And she was like, who's Danhausen? I was like, I mean, it's very hard to explain, but but Danhausen. And I said, oh my God, he's very nice, very evil. And she thought that was the funniest thing. But yeah, it was a great surprise.
This episode of AEW made me yelp out loud more than usual. Like, that was one moment. The whole ladder match just made me go crazy. I think there was something in the Punk segment as well. But yeah, here, Adam Cole, like 3-4 minutes into the lights out match with Orange Cassidy, the feud ender, reaches under the ring, grabs a chair, but the chair's a bit stuck, and he yanks it out, and it's because Danhausen is on the other end of it. He only just shattered his leg into a gazillion pieces 3-4 months ago, and he curses Adam Cole, and then he walks off. And that's all we saw of him. So, do you think Danhausen is AEW Veryhausen? Or is this more like, remember Homicide?
No, well, they did put up the graphic that he is all elite. They released that on
Right.
Twitter. So he is officially signed by the company now. Because...
Did they do that for Homicide?
No.
Yeah.
No, or Nick Gage.
They did it for Leo Rush. He was gone.
Well, he was under contract with them.
Yeah.
It's just that he was on a very short-term contract. That was only like 5 months long or something. I know a lot of people thought that was weird, but I think it happens a lot in sports. Just not really in wrestling. But no, this is an official signing. He is all elite. They put the graphic up afterwards. He was under contract with Ring of Honor, but then in December, Ring of Honor released I think it was November actually, released all of their talent because they're going on hiatus until April. So that freed up a lot of people. That's why we now have Brody King. Brody King actually put up a tweet being like, "Oh my God, did he follow me here?" And like all of the AEW wrestlers are so excited that Danhausen is here. Like Evil Uno tweeted like, "I am co-workers with Danhausen." Aubrey Edwards was tweeting that she was really excited about it. The only people upset by this are the Gun Club. Because Danhausen has been feuding with them on Twitter, calling them the Ass Boys.
Yes.
And I imagine that's what he'll do first, right? Is just feud with the Ass Boys on Dark.
Yeah. Yeah, so do you... I don't really see Danhausen as a character. Granted, I haven't seen a great deal of his work, but he is undeniably a sensation on social media.
Yep.
I don't see him fitting in anywhere on Dynamite, barely even Rampage.
No, I remember Sean said this on an episode recently. Someone asked, like, do you think AEW would pick up Danhausen? I said, if they do, he'd be perfect for Dark. Like, he is perfect for Dark and Dark Elevation and BTE. Like, because he...
Oh, God, yeah.
He's so funny, and he's very quick-witted, and he is just, like, he is in this character. It's Conan O'Brien's favorite wrestler. And
he was on the podcast.
Yeah. He is really, really funny as well. I've been trying to get him on Quizlemania for the last year and a half because I think he'd be so entertaining on it. Adam has been against it. But I've been trying to get him on because I think he'd be really, really great value on it. So I can see him being in that side of things. Maybe like some promo segments in AW on Dynamite and on Rampage. Maybe he could like fill in for Mark Henry one week in the sort of the main. It's time for the main event, Hausen, something along those lines. But as a featured wrestler every week, I don't know yet.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because if you asked me 2-3 years ago, hey, this Orange Cassidy fellow, you think he's going to break out? I'd have been like, I would have put my best Jim Cornette hat on. Be like, no, you don't know anything about wrestling. That is a limited comedy gimmick that will never get over a once every 3 month spot.
Yeah.
It's one of the best things on the show, and it is an undeniable success. So everything in wrestling, which I love about it, is mostly susceptible to what works and what gets over. And that could very well happen. I can't see it working on the main roster how it's set up currently. But it is a main roster that has a literal dinosaur, Orange Cassidy on already.
Yeah, I think you're on the money there. I could see Tony giving it a chance and seeing if it gets over.
Yeah,
and
because why not? It's gone over everywhere else.
Well, exactly, yeah. Also, you're paying him the money for it. You're paying him lots of monies. You may as well...
Very money.
You may as well give this a go. And if it doesn't work, then that's fine. At least you tried. But I think it is something that... This will be the biggest exposure Danhausen has had. Because Danhausen is very popular on the independent scene. He is a Twitter wrestler. He is someone who has gotten himself over through Twitter presence in the same way that Warhorse did as well. He found his following through social media, right? And I think he appeals to this. Like, I think he's very, very funny. And I've enjoyed... Very funny. And I've enjoyed the matches that I have seen him do as well. I've not been like... I haven't seen a Danhausen match that I was like, oh my God, that's the best match I've ever seen. But I have enjoyed Danhausen matches. It'll be so interesting to see how much of that translates into an AEW audience. So he came out to a massive pop.
I push back on the wording. There was a loud pop, but I don't think it was over 50% of the audience.
I disagree. I thought this was a really massive... I thought this was a huge pop that he got when he was revealed. Mostly because I don't think anyone saw it coming.
I don't think a lot of people knew who he was.
Which is interesting. Well, that was actually going to be my point, really, was that I was going to say, like, he came out to this huge pop. How much of that pop, though, is people that have seen him on Twitter but actually haven't seen him have a match? So,
I think but anyone who cheered for him, I doubt they've actually ever seen him wrestle.
Yeah, so like, if there's a small percentage of that pop knows a lot more about Danhausen outside of they know the name and know the face. Whether or not those people will be like, oh man, I can't wait to see him have a match, then see a match and be like, meh.
Well, I think the main issue is the 60% of people who likely stayed quiet because they didn't know what was happening. I'm like, oh, cool. What? All right. I'd be curious if anyone was at the show. Please do put a message in. You don't have to ultra chat. We're just curious to know what the actual pop was in the building.
I will speak. Mod Mother, if you are there, can we put up a poll? Did Danhausen get a huge pop? Yes or no?
Well, I'm so in tune with the audience these last 2 weeks. I don't know why we're even bothering. We'll talk about the whole thing, the whole match later on, because we've already gone over. Let's see what you guys think in the Ultra Omegachats. Sadie Degenhausen says, hello, beautiful boys. What a glorious day it is. My heart has grown 3 sizes last night. AEW is officially very nice, very evil. Mr. Danhausen has blessed us all, and all is good in the world. Is that like a... It's a series of punctuation marks.
Looks like a little chicken.
Yeah, like a penguin with its arms up. Like,
yeah,
yes.
A little penguin. That's a good shout.
Hashtag to the ass ranch. Hashtag happy Sarahhausen. Hashtag love you both. Oh, thank you, Sadie.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Sadie Degenhausen has had that name for quite some time as well. So I did think one Danhausen debut, I was like, I think Sadie Degenhausen will be very happy with this.
She's a Markenhausen. Some stupid punk. I was on Twitter and I tagged just about every single official AEW account, including Brandy and Tony Khan, asking why they haven't brought on Danhausen. So good, so evil. People told me it wouldn't work. I'm not saying I got Danhausen signed, but 5 out of 5 Hausen.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when we did the Ring of Honor show, so when Ring of Honor made their announcement that they were going on hiatus, I did a show with Denise for the Team the Nuke show, and Danhausen was the first name that came up of like Danhausen is going to be the one who's going to be probably the most fine because he'll always get booked somewhere. And there was a massive push from people in the chat, people in the Ultra chats, and from me being like, I think he'll go to AEW. I think Tony would be a fool not to do it.
Wow. See, I'm happy for the guy. But when I look at the landscape right now of free agents, Danhausen's not in my top third. I look at all the other release names, and I want to keep spaces open for them. That's
going to be my question, wasn't it? Because their 90 days still aren't up. So
they will be in February.
In a few days, really. Yeah. So, but yeah, people like Swerve, Keith Lee, Ember Moon, and this and the other. But you're right, you've taken up one of those slots now with Danhausen. Suppose what states Danhausen's going to have. Because if you could bring on a Swerve, an Ember Moon, Keith Lee, they might be featured more and more on TV each week, whereas Danhausen is kept for something else.
Jacob Smith also is claiming that he got Danhausen signed. Will I be cursed if I manifest Trios titles this week? Danhausen's omnipresence has made him feel like a must-sign talent for AEW and is over. Little moments like this will make tuning in each week a must. Love that Danhausen and love that WrestleTalk.
Thank you so much.
And Peter Mullins, why Danhausen in AEW works? No swearing, Mark. Is that a good impression?
That's actually pretty good, yeah.
Britt, can I buy teeth? Boys program ruining their Ass Boys program ruining their lives. Danhausen tries to join every faction. Every situation works. Commanding the Dark Order. Oh yeah, here we go. Clock it in. 3:15. Yep, Danhausen should be the new leader of the Dark Order. We can move past that one now.
Hold on. I think in Peter Mullins' defense, Danhausen thinking he is the leader of the Dark Order would actually be really funny.
He could be Sting's second son.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people were like, I cannot wait for that first Sting Danhausen stare off.
Annoying Dan Lambert. He could be the jester to the Kings of the Dark Throne, the demon of the Hardy family office. He could try and join the Nightmare Collective, even though it's defunct and be gently let down by Brandy. Every situation works. And in between, stick him on dark commentary.
Commentary is such a good place for him.
WH Danhausen is a great signing. I didn't think AEW needed any more male signings except Keith Lee, but I think he can function very well in an R-Truth role. He doesn't need to wrestle much, but he can be great comedic relief. That's a good point. Can he even wrestle? Like, surely he's not fully healed from that leg injury.
Yeah, because it was a hell of an injury.
And the bad one, Jam Beard, for now, says, I would love it if Danhausen would do Rampage commentary while he is healing up. Pairing him with Taz and Excalibur would be fantastic.
Oh my God, Taz getting wound up. Taz getting wound up by Danhausen commentary would be so funny.
Have we got an answer on the poll? Where's it coming in at?
Did Danhausen get a huge pop? 17% say no. 83% say yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, who was there live? I mean...
So Joshua said, Ollie, just watch the show, FFS.
The great thing about questions is you can keep asking different conditions until you find the answer you want. I need someone on the ground. And if they don't give me the answer I want, I will just say, well, you obviously weren't listening properly and you were swept up in the moment. Wine 52. It's very alcohol, very nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Fine52.com/WrestleTalk. Please do click the link in the video description down below because we are sponsored by wine. Get yourself a box of wine for free. All you got to do is pay for that wonderful postage and packaging. It's about $5.95 and you'll get three bottles of wine sent to your front door. You can get red, you can get white, you can get a mix. The choice is yours. It's an excellent service. We have very much enjoyed being sponsored by Wine 52 because you and I are both... We're both wine lovers.
Love wine. Literally having we try and have a cheese and wine night every other week, me and my lady partner, watching The Business of Apprentice and Dragon's Den.
I very much enjoy when it comes to Christmas because I get to go to your local wine vendor and be like,
oh yeah, you send me the wine.
Which wines am I going to get Ollie this year? Which ones do I think you'll like this year?
Well, that's why I like this so much, is because usually wine places can be quite stuffy. But independent wine shops, sort of in the same way as independent wrestling, they look a bit more punk. Like, look at this freaking label.
It's cool, right?
It's a guy on a flying pig. It doesn't scream traditional wine to me. It's a Hungarian wine. And yeah, it's just like a cooler way to make wine.
Do you want to get some of the other bottles out so we can have a look at those? This will be the last show we can do with Sponsor Cam.
There is my name there, another white, and the red, which Luke has already bagsed.
I have.
Is this one?
Lovely stuff. I cannot wait. I'm going to be drinking this bottle of red, in fact, on the Royal Rumble live reactions that we do when we get... Well, I don't think I'm going to drink the whole thing because, you know, I've got to do the review the following day, but I am going to be testing this out when we do the live reactions for the Royal Rumble. Build up my courage to see if I can beat Pete officially this time.
I get Danhausen lips if I have too much red wine. I take one sip of red wine. Yeah. All my lips are blue.
So the key to that, what I do is I take a sip and a little wipe afterwards as well, and you wipe off that residue because otherwise you do get red wine lip.
Or a straw.
Well, I mean, you want to try and be classy. We are drinking wine here, so I don't think having it through a straw is the classiest of affairs.
Right, so keep getting your chats in. We'll read them all out at the end of the show. We've got a bunch in already, so we'll try and get through this packed episode as quickly as we can. The show started.
Well, I mean, I'm going to just stop you, Ollie Davis, because I've got a question that I want to ask you when we come to review this show. Why do you hate AEW? Why do you just hate this show so much? And you love Raw so much?
Well, Raw's just objectively, it flies by. Look. I must admit, I think in the last 2 months, I have not enjoyed AEW as completely as I have done practically every episode since the start of 2020. So when Tony Khan fully took over, those initial first few months were a bit rough looking back. But it was exciting.
That 2019 Dynamite run actually, it really was.
Yeah,
it wasn't the best telling.
No, but since January 2020, I think it's been just sublime overall. But a few things happened. Kenny dropped the belt, and I'm just not as into Hangman as a champion as I thought I would be. So that's a thing. It's just a difference of opinion I have from most people. And I haven't been won over still, despite how great the Danhausen stuff was. I think it was just mainly in ring. And like the feud itself, I didn't actually get into. And this Lance Archer stuff isn't working for me. And elsewhere on the show, that's kind of exposed other bits, which they are pretty directionless for most of their major titles. Mm-hmm. I'm a bit annoyed now that there isn't a proper tag team feud, like that the Lucha Bros never got a proper series of matches. That FTR
they did. They got a series of matches against FTR. I'm not saying that was good, because I think that feud should have been better. I think there were things working against them in that feud, but there was also so much left on the table for them to do other things that I don't think they fully utilized. And I think you can say the same for Jurassic Express. They haven't gone into a tag feud yet. They've just been fighting random teams in the. But I think we are building to that point.
Well, I would hope so. In this building phase, though, my patience is being tested slightly, and I think you've got so many tag teams there that are fantastic, and it's frustrating that you don't have something immediately set up for this to go to. Same with the women's title. I think that. We've said our piece on that. It was maddening that Britt Baker came out, had a whole promo here, and didn't set up anything.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. The TNT title, the whole interim thing, I think didn't work. It's like another short reign for Cody. Belts back on Sammy. I don't think Sammy had a great reign. So yeah, don't get me wrong. This sounds like I'm being very negative. It is still the highlight of my week. I love getting up every Thursday to watch this. I go to bed excited on Wednesday nights, knowing that I watch it in the morning.
Tell that to your reviews.
It's far better. I think it's far more enjoyable than WWE by a magnitude of so much. However, recently, I don't think it's been on fire. I am still giving it 4 out of 5. Lest we forget.
I know, but the thing is here, what is happening? This is Kong Skull Island all over again. You and I use this as the example a lot. And if you are new to this show or you haven't listened to Ollie and I's careers for the many years that we've been doing this, Ollie and I reviewed Kong Skull Island for a podcast once, and it was my favorite film of the year. And I watched it and I was like, that is an incredible movie. That is a 5 out of 5 movie. I loved every single thing about it. And you and I then did a podcast review where, for you, it was a 4 out of 5 movie, but you absolutely loved it. You didn't love it as much as I did.
Yeah.
But because I loved it so much, it sounded like you hated it and you just didn't like anything about the film at all.
I don't know how much. Do you sort of agree with the stuff I'm saying?
I totally get what you're saying. And I think the reason why, because I was just going through the comments on today's video, and like when we load up, this stream, people watch your review and then come onto here. And every single week it is like, oh my God, what is it going to take for Ollie to give this show a 5 out of 5? Because everyone is so madly into everything that Dynamite is doing. Spoilers, the poll, 60% thought this was a 5 out of 5 show. Like, that is overwhelming.
Yeah.
In terms of the love for it. And so I think because everyone is so madly in love with the show, because I do think it is the best weekly wrestling show, when you give it a 4 out of 5 and praise it and then say, however, these things aren't great, what people hear is that you just hate this show. And you're only giving it 4 out of 5.
Yeah, well, no, I agree with that. I think there's probably because I've loved AEW, been very vocal about it. I still am. I'm just, if anything, I'm judging it on the same level I would judge last year's run of AEW shows.
Yeah, they're on a very high streak. Going on from last year. And do you know what? I thought this was an excellent episode of the show. I
very fun.
Thought the opening match was awesome. I thought the main event was awesome. There were bits in between that I really liked. I actually really loved the MJF Mox thing. I know, the MJF Punk thing.
Oh, I loved it, yeah.
So I've seen some people who weren't massively into it, but I thought it was a really, really great segment. But there was a lull in that second hour before we got to that main event.
There has been a lot recently. I think Punk MJF is one of the best feuds they've ever done. I could, one of the best steadily built feuds in wrestling recently. I think it's incredible. But yeah, let's do a long form breakdown of all this, and I'll tell you all the bits you loved and why I didn't like them. I liked pretty much everything. We started with the undisputed TNT title ladder match. Sammy Guevara versus Cody Rhodes. They killed each other. Oh my God.
Didn't they just? So this opened the show. Both of them were just already in the ring to get their ring introductions. So we were just going straight into the action. Very smart. Have you noticed that the credits are much shorter now for Dynamite?
No, I didn't.
I think that is because they're getting such a good lead in from the Big Bang Theory that we're just like, get the credits done and out of the way. Let's just kick straight into a wrestling match so we can try and hook those people that are still, that went to go make a cup of tea, come back and haven't changed the channel yet. Because they are getting, like, I think last week's opening segment, had 1.7 million viewers. Because
what?
That's
1.7.
Yeah, that's all from
Holy hell.
It's all from the lead-in for Big Bang Theory. Big Bang Theory is massively viewed on TBS, and then a good 700,000 of those stop watching. So the idea, I think, is just like, well, let's try and keep a portion of those extra 700,000 viewers and get them watching the show. Smart way. And this is a great. You start it off with a ladder match, and it's for 2 titles hanging above the ring. There's some intrigue in there, and yeah, these two. Christmas Day, they just went out there to destroy each other.
Some of the spots in this were insane. Mostly punishing on Sammy's behalf, I would say.
Yeah.
But Cody was right there with him. This a delayed superplex off the ladder, but it was sort of off the third from the top rung. So Cody is a good 3 feet, I think, above where the top turnbuckle would be for a usual superplex. This is a superplex.
Yeah, this was nuts. I thought that was going to be the biggest thing of the match, honestly.
Well, we'll get into the maybe overdone side of things.
Because Ollie hated this match.
Sammy had a cutter on the outside, looked like it sucked. I think the most impressive thing for me, I just cannot wrap my head around how they pulled this off from a timing perspective. Cody's on the big ladder. There's a little ladder in between that ladder and the turnbuckle. Sammy leapfrogs off the ropes, I think, springboards off the ladder, hits a cutter on Cody. Incredible.
Picture perfect. Like, that is the only way you can describe this. And it was flawless. Every single thing about this went right. And it is the highlight package.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this will be in the intro for Dynamite from now on. Like, the slow motion, it looks beautiful. Sammy is perfect. Cody takes it like an absolute champ. He's already leaping off, so you grab him and you bring him down, and he took that full force. Didn't bring his knees up, just went for a flat bump. It's nuts. The referees were so perfectly placed. Like, I came into the office today, and Andy was like, "Did you enjoy the cutter?" And I was like, yeah. He goes, "Did you like the referees holding the ladder?" And I was like, yes, good.
I preferred that.
And so much better. And also, I didn't see the referees because they were hiding so well. We were watching it. So Dan Layton was in to record Cineworld, who's in the Jamble this weekend. I was like, "Oh my God, have you seen the cutter?" And he's like, "No." And I showed it to him, and he was just, his jaw dropped when he saw it. And then he noticed the referees, and he was like, "Oh my God, the referees are so beautifully placed. What wonderful camera trickery that you don't see them."
Yeah.
It was just incredible. I've watched that GIF, no kidding, and that clip about 10,000 times today, and I cannot stop watching it.
The final spot, the Swanton Bomb, sort of the falling Swanton Bomb off a very tall ladder on the outside onto Cody on a ladder bridge, did not go as perfectly because the ladder didn't break and Sammy just bounced off Cody.
That made it look even worse.
Yeah.
I mean, like, oof. That was a rough old landing for both men.
And then Sammy ran up the ladder. Cody went up there too, hit him with the title. Sammy gets both belts. Sammy is the undisputed TNT champion.
I'm shocked. I really was. I went into this completely expecting Cody to win. I think I said on last week's show, Cody is 100% winning this belt. Because Sammy was interim champion. And in fact, he was only interim champion because Cody had won the belt previously, and then he wasn't around to defend it. I was really surprised by this. Glad for Sammy, but it is, and as this is the question that you had, what was the point of the Cody reign?
Yeah, apart from was Sammy going to win it back at Battle of the Belts?
That is, if I was to put my speculation hat on, if I may, Cody won the belt because it was a Christmas episode or New Year's episode or whatever it was, right? It was a holiday episode.
Yeah.
And so because it was a holiday episode, you had to do a title switch. And the title switch they chose to do was the TNT belts, right? Because they just, it's that, well, we got to do this because you got to do something for the Christmas episode. Do the title switch. And then, I think they were probably going to do Sammy wins it back on the Battle of the Belt show.
Yeah, I just don't think that's a good idea.
I think it's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
I think that's a terrible way to book your wrestling, to book it around a moment like that just for the sake of doing it. Because you were telling a really good story with Sammy that he was beating first-time contenders to the belt.
And other than that, I guess that belies the larger issue. I love this match. I think it's a spectacular match. But there was a bit of me that was like, they're just spots. I couldn't tell you what... I think they were trying to tell a story of Sammy's leg getting worked over, and that would delay him going up the ladder. I wouldn't know that, though, because Sammy ran up that ladder every chance he got. There was also a bit when Fuego del Sol came out and tried to stop Cody from beating up Sammy more, but that didn't work either because Sammy wasn't selling enough to make Fuego come down and try, like, oh, Cody, you've gone too far. So I didn't understand that.
I think he was doing it because he was going to, because he injured the leg or whatever it was, he was then going to slam it into the ladder, and that's what Fuego came down to stop because it was like, Cody, you're going too far. You should be doing that. And then Cody got into the ring. I don't know why Fuego went after him because then he took him out. He took him out with the Tiger Drive, and I was like, as he should, justifiably so, because Fuego is interfering in this match.
So it's a bit Cody. Stuff is going to happen.
Distractions.
But yeah, I thought some of those, that cutter, Sammy was up 20 seconds later, not selling anything. Granted, the move wasn't on him, but the superplex sure was. He was up pretty soon after that. And he never sold any body parts. And, looking at how he took the botch bit and he was straight back up, maybe that is him in real life. But this was the problem I had in his MJF match as well, which I still think is Sammy's best match. Love that match. But just sell throughout the match as opposed to immediately afterwards.
All right, Jim. I mean, look, the WrestleMania X7 TLC match isn't a whole, that is just spectacular spot after spectacular spot after spectacular spot.
But there's 9 people.
That's what I'm saying. Like the hiding behind that is there is 9 people, so you can have 2 people go and do a spot, they're taken out for a bit, and then 2 people go and do another spot. But I don't think there is ever no one ever looks at that match and be like, well, they're not selling anything over there. It's just spot after spot after spot. But I think it is such a spectacle that you can't. For me, I loved it. Yeah. And I love the spectacle of it. And I'm not watching this being like, oh God, why is he not selling this? Why is he not selling this? Why is he not selling this? Because I'm just blown away by everything that they are doing. So it totally worked for me. But I do understand the criticism against them for not selling any of the moves, because otherwise, why do the spectacle if it means nothing?
Yeah. After that, we got. Do you think Sammy Wardlow? I guess.
Well, that was my prediction.
Which means Sammy's just going to drop the belt again, I guess.
Wardlow is going to win the Face of the Revolution ladder match. He's going to beat Sammy with the TNT title and then have to hand it to MJF.
We'll rush through these because we're very over right now. We've got a lot of chats. Team Taz called out Dante Martin and Jay Lethal in the snow. Beach break.
Americans.
Wardlow beat Elijah Dean and James Alexander in a handicap match. He got huge reaction from Cleveland, which is Wardlow's hometown. Got to beat 2 guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Some people thought they were going to do the Wardlow turn here. I think it's too soon to be doing it. And I could watch Wardlow. I could watch his acting every week being conflicted. Great. It's so good.
Shawn Spears listened to Wardlow. Sure, he wanted to go down and beat him with the chair, but Wardlow was like, no. And Shawn's like, okay, mate.
Yeah.
Nice bit of development there. Jericho tagged with Santana and Ortiz to take on 2.0 and Daniel Garcia. The story here was that Santana and Ortiz did not tag in Jericho at all because they're annoyed with him. And Jericho realized pretty late that's what was happening. You're like, guys? For like 8 minutes. Guys, I'm here. And then he got annoyed. But he sort of Judas affected one of 2.0 from the outside. And Santana and Ortiz got the win. Do
you know what I thought the story of this match was? Santana and Ortiz refused to tag in Chris Jericho, but Jericho had to win the match for them because they're rubbish.
That's the story.
That is essentially what the story was, because...
You still need me.
You still need me, which is such a good way to put over Jericho, not a great way to be putting over Santana and Ortiz.
Santana and Ortiz are coming across as passive-aggressive towards Jericho. which is not how I would present them.
He is Chris Rhodes at the moment, where like he is the heel in this storyline, but does not realize it, and it's just like, well, I should still be booked as the babyface, right? I'm right, so I think we need to show. We should be showing everyone how I'm right in this feud.
I think, I've been thinking a lot about this in the Jericho thing turning, because you have been done with him for a while. A lot of people have been emailing in saying, oh my God, Jericho's so cringe. I'm actually a Jericho defender. But do you think it's because he's not a heel anymore? And Jericho as a babyface these days just doesn't work for longer than one feud. Really.
I agree, yeah. And I think that people have realized that Santana and Ortiz didn't get to feud with... And I do think that a lot of people, and I agree with this in some respect, Santana and Ortiz didn't get to feud with the Lucha Bros because they had to do all of the Jericho stuff.
Yeah.
And they are just sort of like getting sucked into, like, they kind of start to do something, and then Jericho gets into a feud that requires them. So they're taken out of that storyline and put back into a Jericho storyline. And I think that's why people are starting to turn on Jericho a little bit and get sick of him. I think Jericho is a guy that really needs to be a Brock Lesnar in WWE. And by that, I mean, you do something for 3 months and then you go away for 9. Or like you are just there for a little bit. You are a part-timer as opposed to a weekly performer.
He's arguably so important to ratings, though. It'd be a dicey thing to do.
I don't know if he is. I think the company is... someone sent us an email in, which we read out on the podcast a few weeks ago. It's actually this week, in fact, that really nailed it for me. When he signed with AEW, he was the big fish in a small pond, but the pond is now outgrown him. The pond is now massive, but he is still the same size. So he doesn't feel as big as, I don't know, 15 other people above him.
Yeah, probably some time away or a really hardcore heel turn. Something to freshen it up. Lance Archer and Hangman Page didn't get a proper segment on this show. They just got a video package. But it did involve a fantastic spit take from Page where the interviewer off camera said, oh, it's a Texas death match in 2 weeks, right? And Page is like, what? Oh, but I'll beat him.
Yeah. Man, poor Page. That's gonna be a rough all going for old Hangman.
Yeah.
I'm not into this feud.
No. Punk. This was one of my favorite things on the show. Probably my favorite thing because I didn't have any nitpicks. Punk comes out. He's in his ring gear. He's got MJF's scarf. He challenges MJF. He's like, look, I've gone through FTR. I've gone through Sean Spears, Wardlow. Is that everybody in the Pinnacle? I think so. I've literally chased you up the concourse and back down again. And still, they have not properly touched. Like, the most they've touched is the scarf. Fantastically done. And then MJF comes out and he rags on Cleveland and he says, hey, when Punk walked out in 2014, he walked out on a date that was meant to be in Cleveland. Brilliant detail. And but I'm not going to have the match here. I'm going to have the match in Chicago next week. Which you're like, wow, why would you do that? That's Punk's home turf. But actually, you're like, whoa, if MJF beats Punk in Chicago, that I can see why MJF would want to do that. I think it's just as strong an idea as a heel tactic. And they went back and forth, some great promo work. Pinnacle ran down, beat up Punk. Wardlow looked conflicted, but still beat him up. And MJF sit cross-legged on Punk to end the segment.
Do you know what? For me, this is only missing one thing, which is when he sat down and he said, do I have your attention now?
I thought the exact same thing.
I was waiting for him to say it. And what he just said was like,
John.
And so what he said was like, Chicago next week. I'll put you to sleep.
Do I have your attention now? Would have been amazing.
Still, and that is just me being like
4 out of 5.
For me, it's like, you know what I mean? It's just done that. But either way, I thought it was an absolutely perfect segment.
Yeah.
I thought MJF was great. I thought Punk was great. Punk coming out ready for a fight, I think is really good because he wants this match. If he'd have come out for a promo segment, it would have felt weird. But he wasn't. He was like, no, I want to fight you. And MJF wasn't. He's like, look, I'm not in my gear. We're going to do this next week in Chicago. He had some really good lines. He even made reference to the fact that he has sued people, which is probably the closest we'll ever get to the Cabana stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because we said, if they don't bring up the Cabana stuff in an MJF feud, that means it's never being brought up by anyone. So I think that's the closest we'll ever get, I guess. But I'm so looking forward. What a card next week, by the way.
Holy hell.
Got
Yeah, well.
Punk and MJF, and then Death Triangle versus the King of the Black Throne. Crimey.
Showing.
I know, right?
Showing. You think, surely Punk MJF's the main event there?
Next week, 100%.
Yeah, not the opener.
Yeah. I like Dyke Tots coming here, said a perfect 4 out of 5 segment.
This one, for me, was a 5 out of 5 segment. Loved it. I've just put here, like, how do AEW put so many incredible matches on TV and still can have a pay-per-view?
I think we've actually got a chat about this later on.
Really?
So let's pocket that conversation. We'll park
it.
That's good. We'll park that conversation. We'll come back to that.
Bowens cut a promo on Moxley for their match on Rampage. Griff, Garrison, and Julia Hart, the Varsity Blondes, being interviewed. Mark Sterling is like, Julia, have a match against Jade Cargill. Sign this waiver. And Griff was like, no, you shouldn't do it. And Julia Hart was like, F off, mate. I'm evil now.
Yeah, I think Jade Cargill is going to kill her quite quick.
Mm-hmm. Well, no depth perception.
Well, as it was, so I signed the waiver.
Have you seen her on Being the Elite? And she bumps into everything.
That's very good. I've written in my notes here, lol, Red Velvet and Layla Hirsch ranked number 1 and number 2.
Well, yeah, exactly. So they had a match next. It died. No one cared about it. It went on too long, probably.
I was going to disagree with you in your review where you said this didn't have enough time to develop a story. I think it actually, one of the things I would say about this, because I thought this was a good match. Mm-hmm. I think this is actually I would go on as far as to say, not a really good match, because I feel like that is too much praise, but this was a good match. These two worked really hard. They didn't screw anything up. The problem is the crowd don't care. And because the crowd weren't into it, it felt longer than it actually was.
Yeah.
And it is a feud that has sort of been on Dark and on Rampage and is now on Dynamite. And I just don't think it was really connecting. Like, I think they really want to do something with Red Velvet. They really want to do stuff with Layla Hirsch. I think when you only do one women's segment a week, though, that means that not everyone gets a chance to get on TV. This is like Layla Hirsch's, or like Red Velvet's first Dynamite match in however long it is, because you're only doing them one a week. And that's what happens. I like it. I really like Hirsch. Hirsch continued to beat up Velvet afterwards. Chris Statlander chased her off. So presumably Statlander versus Hirsch, that's what they're building to. But you've got Dark and Dark Elevation for those people. Why isn't the focus on Shida, Riho, Thunder Rosa? Well, Shida's off, and I think Riho's gone back as well.
Thunder Rosa, Chris Statlander, Ruby Soho. Well, Nyla Rose.
Yeah, so Statlander is in
Britt Baker.
Statlander is in her feud with Hirsch. Like, that's what the feud is, right?
Yeah.
You've got Ruby is now feuding with
Nyla Rose.
Feuding with Nyla Rose. Thunder Rosa is the big one for me. When they had the Britt Baker segment, I was like, Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa comes out, waiting for Thunder Rosa to come out, because like that's the match, right? That's the match that they were building to. I'd imagine that's the match we'll have at Revolution, because. Not even a Revolution. Maybe it's at Double or Nothing.
Oh my god!
Well, only because like that would mark 1 year of Baker as champion. So
yeah.
like, and but we are nearing the 1 year anniversary of the Lights Out match last year. So that feels like a really nice time then to bring back that Thunder Rosa feud. But I am at this point being like, when are we getting to the fireworks factory?
Yeah. I nearly called him Alistair then.
Oh, well, okay, so Harry here has said Rosa's feuding with Mercedes Martinez. Where? Like they started that with the
Rampage.
No, in the TBS tournament. That's how she got taken out.
Yeah.
But like, what has been done with it since?
Yeah,
I've had a couple of promo segments, but that's it.
Yeah.
That was in early December. We're now nearly in February, and we haven't got to step 2 of their feud.
Mm-hmm. It's because they've only got one. All this, by the way, all the women's stuff. Because you had this, you had the Baker promo, you had Nyla Rose come out very quickly and say, I want Ruby Soho. 15 minutes.
Yeah.
The same 15-minute. And, it seems to me that they're grouping together these segments into the 1/4 hour as a kind of mitigated loss thing. So you only have one bad 1/4 hour. And really, I would say, well, no, build up the women's division more. So all the segments do well.
Tony is a stats man.
Yeah.
And surely you can look at the stats of seeing Jade Cargill has been a legit draw on Rampage.
Great example, yes.
And be like, oh, brilliant. She is a draw. Let's put her out on TV and get that 1/4 hour up. As opposed to nah, we'll just keep her in 90-second matches on Rampage. I mean, maybe that's where you do it, but you can do that on Dynamite as well. You can, I mean, maybe I'm mad here, but you can do more than one women's match on a show.
You could do the TBS title on TBS.
Yeah.
Malakai Black and Brody King cut a promo on Death Triangle. Cannot wait for that. I love them.
What a promo as well.
It's cool.
I thought Malakai was great, and then right here I was like, man, Brody King's no slouch either. Crikey, he was so good.
He scares me. just unsettles me. Sammy came out with Fuego and did a picture-in-picture bit. It was actually quite sweet. Did you see what he said?
Skip this bit.
Yeah, it was just like, thank you so much, everybody. Couldn't have done this without you. It was actually very nice. Britt Baker came out for an in-ring promo. There was a bunch of awards, PWI frame stuff around her in the ring.
And the Inside the Ropes award that she won. Shout out to Kenny.
And she just cut a promo, a good, she's great. I would have said probably soak up the heat a bit more. She talked over the booze when she was getting the cheap heat stuff. I would have liked to have just soak in the booze. But then this went nowhere. There was no Jamie Hayter. There was no Thunder Rosa. There was no implied direction for this belt. And I'm like, and then she just left. When was the last proper story she had?
Riho, which was only a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, but that never... Yeah, I guess that was pretty built up, but...
That didn't have weeks of builds. In fairness to it, and also, I'm not saying it was great, but it did have weeks of build across Dynamite and across Rampage to build up Battle of the Belts. It was, that was like the big match for Battle of the Belts. So credit, in fairness to that. Yeah. But I do agree with you. This whole segment here, and perhaps the chat can correct me, this was done because there is a Cleveland football player who has also got the name Baker. And Britt Baker came out to do a promo about how that she is a better baker than he is. That, for me, because she kept bringing it up, was the point of this segment, was to get some local town, your sports team sucks heat.
Which I'm fine with.
Well, I
just want it to go somewhere.
Here's my problem with that, though. A, the crowd still do DMD with her. Right? The crowd still do DMD. So she is still getting the babyface stuff out of, boo, you said my team is what catchphrase. So that bit doesn't work. Also, next week they're in Chicago. That heat that you've got in Cleveland doesn't transfer across to Chicago, because Chicago would be like, oh my God, she said the bad thing about the Cleveland player, boo her. So that raised the question, what was the point of this segment? Yeah. This furthered nothing. I get the feeling that Baker wanted a segment. Although she's been like almost asking, because she relished this. She relished being the chance to be able to go out and cut a promo. And she got the promo for 6-7 minutes or whatever it was. And she was great at it. And it was really, really good. But it built nothing. And it ended with nothing. And it led to nothing. And that, for me, is a complete waste of time.
She even said at the start, didn't she? She said, I haven't been in this ring for a while. Yeah,
okay, people are saying here, Cleveland and Pittsburgh are bitter enemies. But that builds nothing for other cities.
Well, I don't mind the hometown stuff. I get a kick out of it.
But if a babyface had come out...
Well, that's it. Someone needs to come out and defend Cleveland.
Yes.
That's 101 wrestling, isn't it?
Exactly.
Otherwise, why? Then Nyla Rose came out with Vicky Guerrero and very quickly demanded a match against Ruby Soho.
One other thing, if you're not a football fan, why do you care?
Yeah, but that's such a big thing in the States. I don't mind that.
I don't know. I have massive issues with this. Fun fact, though. So my wife was in the room watching this with me, and I realized that I just do this uncontrollably, I guess. I also do the DMD thing at home, and I do it when there's no one else in the room. This is the first time that I did it with someone in the room. My wife sort of caught me doing it, and I was like, oh, I did the... When she was like, what was that? And I was like, well, she does this. She spells out her name.
And I do it as well.
I do it on the show. And yeah, I'm in my mid-30s.
The main event, which we've already kind of covered with the Danhausen spot, but we'll go more into it here, was Orange Cassidy versus Adam Cole in an unsanctioned lights-out match, which means it is not an official record win or loss. This is not a match that has been allowed by AEW, but it's still happening, in theory, after the show has stopped.
Well, they did. They turned the lights out.
Turn the lights on and off. The branding was all... It doesn't matter. I'm being facetious. I like it. They had 20 minutes, and they had a really great comedy hardcore match. And there's something about Cassidy and Cole that just works perfectly. I love them together. And all the spots in this match, the Danhausen cameo, the best friends, and the, Cole's many boyfriends running down, that was great. They brawled backstage. It was, really great stuff. I love the finish.
Finish was great.
They get to the top of the entrance tunnel. So not just the stage, but one bit higher. And Cassidy just hugs him. And using the power of friendship, he throws them both off through a crash mat stage thing. And it's like, they both kind of lost. They both kind of won. It was just the way Cassidy fell on Cole.
No, Cassidy did purposefully put himself on top of Cole.
Okay, yeah. But it's that friendship ended the match. And that's what this whole feud has been thematically based around. I loved it. I loved it. And I think it's something the best friends do better than anyone. Remember the arcade match and the street fight, the parking lot brawl?
Yeah.
They are great at this stuff. So just fantastic.
Loved it. Absolutely loved this match. I'm such a huge fan of Cole. What I think is one of Cole's strengths, and I'm going to make a big comparison here. And so I know that some people would be like, oh my God, how can you make that comparison? Kurt Angle was so great at being the goofy comedy heel, but you still take seriously, right? I think Adam Cole is the exact same way.
Oh my God, how can you make that comparison?
In the sense of, because he comes out of the ring and I was like, what a star. He is an absolute megastar. He is beloved by everyone. My wife was very taken with Adam Cole.
Those eyes.
That's exactly what she said. She's like, oh my God, his eyes. I was like, I know, right?
Paul Hollywood's.
And so everyone takes him as this big, mega serious star. And I was like, he is going for Hangman. Like, that is going to be one of the big title feuds they're going to do this year. So everyone takes him seriously as a main eventer. But he can still do comedy, goofy stuff in this. And there was a moment during this match, right at the end, when his plan was to do a Panama Sunrise. Where
gonna bust my own knees.
That's exactly it, right? Cassidy is on the stage. And Adam Cole's plan was to go up high, jump down, and then do a Canadian Destroyer. Makes no sense. It's why the Panama Sunrise is a dumb move, but I love it because it makes no sense. That was his plan. So he goes up to the stage, and then he looks down at Orange Cassidy, and Cassidy has moved and has gone around to chase him up there. Adam Cole then goes, where did he go?
Yeah.
And he's just looking down at the floor, being like, shouting at the referee, where did he go? Like, literally doing, which way did he go? And then Cassidy rises up behind him. Cole is still going, where did he go? I can't see him anymore. Yeah. So you can stand up and then do the big turnaround reveal that Cassidy is standing there, and he just hugs him. And Adam Cole is like, what are you doing? And then realizes he can't escape the hold. And he is flailing his arms. He's trying to kick out. He's like, no, the hug is too powerful. And that's when Cassidy jumps. It was so good.
So, loved it.
However,
I don't think there should have been a lights out match. It's a hardcore match.
This was a hardcore, spectacular match, yeah.
And I'm like, well, why did you make it a lights out match then? And I'm like, it's probably so you can give Cassidy the win, which he needs, I agree with, for the purpose of the story, but you don't give Cole an actual loss because you want him to probably go for a title afterwards.
Because he's undefeated in singles competition currently, and he's like 4-1 against Cassidy.
And I just think it's a cop-out way to book, and I think the lights out is an incredibly protected stipulation in that company, and it's only been done twice. And it's been
a few more than that.
Well, I'm just thinking Moxley, Omega, and
they did one on Dynamite as well.
What was that?
I think it was Moxley, Janela. No, maybe it was like in the early days of the pay-per-view. I think it was a lights out match. I think that was actually the first one they did.
Well, definitely the most recent two have set this bloodbath standard. And you know what? I don't love that style of match, but it is a definite end point in the story. And I just don't feel like that was that match. It's like, but I guess another argument against the one I'm making would be, well, you've had a bunch of Hell in a Cell matches. It's refreshing to have one that doesn't go outside the cage. And you just have a singles match in the Hell in a Cell.
That was the argument I was going to give as a counter to it, yeah. I'm not completely wedded to that argument, but I think it is an argument that can be made.
I find myself falling on the other side, which is I feel like this is just a loophole to beat Cole but not beat Cole. In which case, protect the stipulation.
We said this last week that this is pretty much being done so Cassidy, Cassidy's likely going to get the win, although we did think it was going to be because Johnny Gargano was there. But I agree with you. I think this is it is a stipulation that needs to mean something, because what you don't want to do is become Hell in a Cell. There was a period in time when Hell in a Cell meant something. When you booked a Hell in a Cell match, you're like, oh my God, you're doing a Hell in a Cell match? And then people will say, like, oh, WWE only recently killed it. I don't know. Oh, no. I mean, they were quite quick to kill that concept early on because
2011.
Even before then, even during the Attitude Era, they would sometimes do them on TV and things like that. Like, I think that they themselves made the stipulation feel less and less special. And if you're only going to do one of these a year, I really do think it needs to feel like the bloodbath that we got last year with Rosa and Baker.
I agree, obviously. So overall, 4 out of 5
also,
show.
Moxley and Kingston versus Suzuki and Archer was also a lights out match. So they did 2 of them last year.
Huh. Isn't that funny how that does not stick in my memory?
So what someone has said, like, why do people always forget that match? I actually did forget that until the Slamurai pointed it out. Great name, by the way.
So I gave it 4 out of 5 because I'm an AEW hater.
The community tab did give that the big 5 out of 5. There's 60%. 28% thinking it was 4 out of 5. 9% thinking it was a middle of the road. For me, it's a 5 out of 5 show. Like I had such a blast watching it. Sometimes it is how you leave them, folks. And this show opened amazing. It ended amazing. I thought the Punk MJF stuff was awesome. And it was nice to see Baker get some promo time. Wish it had led to something, but they had their one women's match, so it can't have a brawl. That would almost be a match.
Let's get into your Omega chats. We've got a bunch, so I'm just going to brace myself. Probably all shouting at me. Phil Buckley, Danhausen appearance was perfect, and I think Orange getting a win over Cole after Danhausen cursed Cole makes sense and allows both guys to still look strong.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't actually factor in that perhaps Danhausen cursed him.
Oh, I don't think
it's...
a Cole Danhausen feud off the back of this is gonna do the critics of Cole. Ross Maltby Turcott. Very excited for Danhausen. Did you see the video where he had Billy Gunn laughing when he said, "I'm coming with you to the ass ranch"? So funny.
I love the fact he calls him Chris Judas. Oh my, there's just so many things that he does I think are really, really fun, and I'm so excited to see what he's going to do in AEW.
Christopher Jazz Cathausen. love that Danhausen. This week's A&W was very...
Did you see that?
That's because Danhausen got a job there. Yeah.
Well, yeah, he was applying for it. And they replied to him as well, being like, enjoyed the job application. He's really good.
This week's A&W was very nice, very evil. I think people are selling Danhausen's in-ring work short. He's character-based, but he looks solid to me. He's not the leader of the Dark Order, though. We all know that's got to be Raven. Just a Guy says, Ollie, I was in the building. 90% of the audience knew who he was. Well, you're just a guy. Just a guy. NF. I scared the F out of my dog when Danhausen popped up on my screen because he was in a deep sleep and I just started yelling and screaming. Woof. Tyler Woodward. All Elite Hausen. I didn't get him to begin with, but I'm a mark of him. I'm a Markhausen. I actually stayed up to watch Dynamite last night instead of falling asleep before it starts. Also, Sammy as TNT champ is so much better. Cody needs to turn heel. And maybe he's already turned heel.
Yeah. On the subject of Cody and Sammy, Mons2806 said, I don't know what was a bigger surprise, Cody losing or Cody not getting an entrance.
That was weird. The show opened on them both in the ring.
Well, you got to capitalize on those. Yeah. The 1.7 million you get watching the first 5 minutes.
It's smart. Yeah, it's a very good idea.
Nate S. Wait, so you're telling me Cody Rhodes had a big title ladder match and didn't get busted open? He must really not be under contract. Great show. No surprise. I loved the Kings of the Black Throne promo. Love that Danhausen or be cursed.
That's a good point. No Cody color.
I was fully expecting it. Really was. Laximham, Narasimham B. 2 possibilities for next week. 1, Punk gains the upper hand, FTR and Spears interrupt and get fended off by, I don't know, the Briscoes, furthering the Briscoes FTR thing. MJF blames the only guy who was nowhere at the round at the time, Wardlow. Or have someone from Pinnacle punch MJF, causing Punk to lose via DQ, and have MJF get even with Punk for causing him a loss in the same way. Would get heat. MJF something to shamelessly brag about. Punk has a bone to pick. DQ would work in this case. It could even make sense for MJF to get a win in storyline sense, but then it is friggin' Chicago. Having him lose via pinfall submission, even with the shenanigans, probably not the best idea. With the DQ, they can save the actual match for pay-per-view, maybe Revolution.
Not a fan of any of those ideas, I don't think. I just think a straight singles match, no shenanigans. Maybe MJF tries to cheat as always, but ultimately a clean win either way. But I don't know which way.
They have to give Punk they'll give MJF 2 losses in 2022. Kane Plays Games said, well, I think CM Punk and MJF are the best talkers in wrestling. I thought this week's back and forth went on way too long. I totally zoned out by the end of it. I just wanted to move on. Also, Wardlow might be as strong as an actor as he is physically.
Great facials.
On the subject of Jericho Inner Circle, here's where we get to. David Camilleri. So David also emailed in to support@WrestleTalk.com, and we read out this email on the Raw review. Hi guys, David from Sydney, Australia here. Sorry about the ashes. We don't know what that means. It's cricket, we don't care. I'm so sick of Jericho. He's a shadow of his former self. At least there was no GFY tonight. Seriously, I hope Fozzy has a best-selling record so he can tour the world for a long, long time.
God, that's a freaking monkey's paw, isn't it?
Oh, so you want a Fozzy record, do you? Have all the Fozzy records you want! The guilty had. As Jericho only works with people who are over, to get both himself over, which I respect, who do you think his next opponent will be after this is done? Danhausen or Hook? Personally, I hope the latter, so to give Hook his first big win.
Well, that's not a bad idea. I like Jericho going for Hook because you've got Taz on commentary with him. And Hook just has no time for Jericho's nonsense. Jericho would be a heel there, though.
Yeah, 100%.
I like that.
Laximham's back again said, imagine if Sammy and Hager also where's Hager been? Has he actually been on TV with them?
He was in a backstage promo, I think, a couple of weeks ago.
Because they actually made this on commentary as well, that they thought it was weird. The commentary was isn't it weird that Jericho, Santana, and Ortiz didn't come out to celebrate with Sammy? And I was like, oh yeah, Sammy is in that group, isn't he?
No, Fuego del Sol. He's who I think of when I think Sammy. Imagine if Sammy and Hager also side against Jericho and Eddie Kingston has taken over the Inner Circle, or Jericho, Sammy, and Hager versus Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz. Never mind. It kind of sounds like a modern-day NWO Black and White versus NWO Wolfpack. By the way, that's Cutter. Oh, yeah. That would worry... Yeah, for me, I don't want Sammy just going back into, being a sidekick for Jericho again, because that also hurts the TNT title. He should be getting into his own feuds. I'll hot tag back. Kevin, I think Britt needs to lose the title soon because she beat everybody and nobody was a credible threat to her reign. And also AEW are only building heel stars in the women's division. Deeb, Hirsch, Cargill. I only see Rosa as a credible contender. Yeah. Rosa is pretty much the only credible contender that they have currently. I don't think that means you should just take the title off of Britt, because I think she is insanely popular. I think you cannot take that away from her. Don't let bad feuds or bad booking of feuds take away from the good work that she has done. People are also saying that Hager is doing MMA, and as you know, MMA training means you cannot go to TV for 2 hours a week. Yeah, boy, Ed Games. Britt Baker is starting to become AEW's Charlotte Flair. Long title reign, but has not really put anyone over, and her segments are just self-congratulatory, with last night being the most egregious. Please get to the point and to the feud already. Disagree with that as well. Also, I think, Charlotte Flair is also a proven needle mover. I think more Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch, great promo. I love watching her wrestle. But yeah, it feels like she's not properly making anyone else. That's not on Baker though, is it? That's on the company. Yeah. Hannah Allen. Guys, this show was epic. I loved every minute of it. The Cole versus Cassidy match was fantastic. The Danhausen surprise. I've been feeling a little bit blue due to the state of the world at the moment, and this was what we needed. And WrestleTalk. Gosh darn. Lot of love. Jam that jam. DAD. LIW 444 for life. Well, hope you're feeling better, Hannah. Jack Nichols, AEW was a right blast. That main event was fun. Seriously jazzed for Pac versus Black, and hopefully that will lead to Black versus Sammy or Paige. Stay peng, lads. What's your favourite men's TO match?
Men's TOE match. I like that Jack is trying to find more and more obscure wrestlers to see. Like, I mean, next week will be what's your favorite Pete Gas match? To which the answer is the Hardcore Spectacular from WrestleMania 2000.
Brilliant. Dan Torkel. Hey guys, is it time for AEW to up from 4 to 6 pay-per-views a year? I'm feeling real fatigue since Full Gear, and the feuds and stories are getting repetitive. Their TV specials are great, but pay-per-views have bigger stakes, and the in-between feuds, Paige, Archer, feel like filler.
So this is what we were parking that conversation from earlier towards, because I knew there was a chat like this.
Well, I don't think the TV's felt repetitive at all. I think it's been having an incredible degree of star power, main draw matches. Paige Danielson for an hour, and then the rematch. We're getting Punk MJF next week. These are full-on pay-per-view, biggest pay-per-view matches you can do.
100%.
And they're doing them on TV.
Sammy, I mean, on this TV show alone, Sammy and Cody in the ladder match, Cassidy in the lights out match.
Yeah.
And like next week, not only is it Punk MJF, I can say it again, Death Triangle versus Kings of the Black Throne. That is, I mean, I'm excited for Punk MJF, but that's the match I'm really excited for.
I feel like this has been the case since Full Gear. Like really top tier TV matches. So it'll be interesting to see when Revolution rolls around what the card is. And if it's like, oh, but it's a shame you didn't save one of those big matches you put on TV for this.
And imagine starting next week, because then we're into February, that's when we'll start to see what we're shaping up with for Revolution. Because in 2 weeks' time, we're getting the Paige Archer match, right? Yeah. Which basically is only going to give them 2 weeks then to build Hanger's match for Revolution, because it's the start of March.
Always be scamming Memberg for 7 months. It's Pokemon Day today, and we get treated with a wild Danhausen last night, and the flying type Sammy with that beautiful cutter. Jam that effing jam. Corey Venenkant says, hey gents, first time Omega chatter, wanted to point out how well AEW learned from their production mistakes with Blood and Guts by framing up the finish of Cassidy and Cole very well. Made the finish for me. Huge fan of the Dynamite reviews. Jam that Jamhausen. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good point.
Great point.
Kevin May. Amazing ladder match with spots I've never seen, blah, blah. Fantastic lights out match with a somehow sweet ending. Malakai Black saying, welcome your brother before cutting to Julia Hart. Pff, Danhausen is all elite. Yes, many very evils out of 5. Omar Josui. This is the first Dynamite I've been able to watch live in 7 months because my job has been so hectic. But good. Does it feel good to watch amazing wrestling and enjoy it with everyone as it happens? Very nice. Very evil indeed. Love you, lads. Thank you. Love you too.
Thank you.
Cole Woodruff. Funny story. I swiped on a Tinder girl wearing Derby, Punk, and Omega shirts in her pics. I brought up Beach Break in conversation, and she had no idea what it was. She said, oh, I don't watch. I just like the shirts. They're a t-shirt company.
They are a t-shirt company.
Do you think this is a real story?
I mean, well, okay. When I was at school, this was probably more when I was at... Actually, no, because it was quite probably but this is when I was at work, I think, when I had one of my first real jobs. There were girls there who would buy Guns N' Roses t-shirts or Rolling Stones t-shirts.
Yeah, Ramones, sure, yeah.
Yeah, because they were sold in, I don't know, retail stores and things like that, right?
Prime.
Yeah, New Look and things like that. And then you'd be like, oh, you like Guns N' Roses? They're like, never heard a song. I just like this, wearing this t-shirt. There's a Nirvana one that was quite a popular one where someone was like, never heard them before in my life, but I really like this t-shirt. Maybe that's just the same thing here. If she'd have seen them in a shop or something and was like, well, these are nice t-shirt designs.
Well, that means AEW has sort of penetrated mainstream culture to an extent that I don't think it has. But wow, what an anecdote.
Well, no, actually, that's the opposite. They haven't penetrated the mainstream culture because she has no idea what they are, but they have...
But they're being sold in the sorts of places that person would go to.
Well, it might be sold on a Hot Topic or something.
I guess so. Not as good as WrestleShop.com. Get your new t-shirts.
By the way, just wear whatever t-shirts you want. It doesn't matter.
Perseus M. I was there, guys. It was a blast. The place exploded when Wardlow's music hit. Almost everybody there was sure Gargano would turn up, but was still a lot of fun. It looked like Cody and Sammy died multiple times from where I was. Nobody knew who Danhausen was.
That's not what it says at all. It does not say that in the chat whatsoever.
Kevin! Also, what was the point of Cody being TNT champion? Was Sammy supposed to win at Battle of the Belts? Darby and Miro have done great. Where's Miro been?
Miro's injured.
Fair enough. Darby and Miro have done great things with this belt, but I don't feel it with Sammy and Cody. I agree.
Yeah.
Joshua Larkin has been a member for 6 months. Took parents and fiancé to a show last night. 50-year fan dad feels like a kid again. MJF and 5-star ladder match won over a non-fan fiancé. Love you guys. That's great to hear, Joshua.
I would imagine they don't know who Danhausen is.
Kyle Jeffries. So not 100%.
We never said 100%, though.
Kyle Jeffries.
If anything, you said, I think it was 60%.
Love this show, but see a lot of negativity on OC beating Adam Cole and people pointing out Cole's lost his body between NXT and AEW. Wish we got a bit more of a face turn from Wardlow. Wonder if that might be next week in Howson.
No, I people are begging for this field. I think you can stretch this out longer.
I don't think you can do it before the Punk match.
Yeah, I think you need to. I think you can stretch this out much further. And I know there are a lot of people being like, "Oh man, Adam Cole looks like he's out of shape." I wish I was as out of shape as Adam Cole is. Crikey!
I'm not seeing that at all. Some stupid punk. Whoa! Are we going to ignore Tony telling Will Hobbs the mic is frozen, stuck to my hand, and Will Hobbs looking at him and go, "So?"
Oh man, we were running short on time, so we had to skip over or not talk about some segments much. But yeah, it was hilarious then to be like, "This is Beach Break. Here's a segment to show how dumb of a name that is because we're on a frozen beach and everyone's too cold."
It's a Memberg for 8 months, by the way. William Rossmer. I'm excited to see MJF Punk live next week, but the big story is Danhausen is all elite Hausen. The only reason I can see Cody winning the title was to get heel heat by ruining Christmas. Yeah, well, is he a heel? DX Solo, member for 6 months. Hey fellas, so for Valentine's Day, my wife got me tickets for Dynamite on the 9th of February in Atlantic, Jersey. So excited to see Adam Cole. But that's around Keith Lee, Ember Moon, all those people who got released late last year.
Yeah.
DX.
I think there are 2 names, actually 3 names, and we have said them enough. Ember Moon, Keith Lee, and Swerve are the 3 signings you have to do.
Swain So Sour, Memberg for 5 months. Another month for Memberg. Monday was my birthday. My girlfriend got me floor seats for AEW on the 9th of February. Also got a gift from Omicron, and it's the worst. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry to hear that.
But hey, Swain So Sour and DX Solo.
Meet up.
Yeah. Meet up.
Give the people what they want.
JS, we'll put it. Meet up. Send a picture to us.
Yes.
We'll put it on the stream.
Love that.
JS Wooten. AEW always gives off the feeling of spinning plates. Revolution will be a good pay-per-view, but it's clear they're going to make Double or Nothing huge this year. Those plates are going to keep spinning, and things will be uneven till spring. Dad, Tho, and WrestleTalk for life.
I disagree.
Yeah, I think... I don't know how you can tell that Double or Nothing is going to be huge at this point.
Yeah. I'll read out these next ones because they're about your 4 out of 5 rating. Kane Plays Games. Ollie. Now, I know that you're on the Nick Khan coin as opposed to the Tony Khan coin because 4 out of 5 apparently means you're definitely suddenly Team WWE and hate everything AEW. Which Khan coin has the better exchange rate to British pound coins?
Kane Plays Games. I don't even trade in fiats like GBP anymore. I'm purely digital.
Ten Ruzza. Are we seeing Ollie become the Mr. McMahon Davis enjoying Raw more than AEW? This was a beautiful episode and I loved Sammy. I hope they change the theme and intro to Dynamite to include it. Gargano, I'll be patient. Also, the Australian Open tournament has been awesome.
I didn't like Raw this week.
Well, you gave it
3 out of 5.
3 out of 5, yeah.
My Raw standards.
But you gave last week's show 5 out of 5?
I mean, pretty much. Should have been.
Battle Champion. I would have agreed with Ollie with this being a 4 out of 5 show before the main event, but Danhausen made this 10,000 out of 5 for me, though I disagree with Ollie calling the women's match boring. I really liked it, and it was between 2 top fighters. Good. Kevin said, I think people are very vocal about Ollie's rating because they really like AEW, and just like WWE back then, they don't want to be told that what they like isn't good. Also, I think that people expect AEW to be judged on the same scale as Raw, so it is 5 out of 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Edgar says, all I hear come out of Ollie's mouth on Thursdays is, I hate AEW. Let's go, Pete.
It's crazy how quickly this has changed.
True, Ovna. I find it really interesting that you'll have been down on the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe it's personal life circumstances, but I've enjoyed the TBS Dynamite era infinitely more than the weeks before Winter is Coming and the TBS debut. Hey, Drew, don't lump me into this. I've been giving these shows 5 out of 5. It's this one over here. Daniel says, hey everyone, hope you're well. Bit of a spicy take, but what if WWE pulls a WWE and has Roman cost Brock and then have Brock cost Roman? So what I believe would be the first Roman versus Brock without a title on the line at WrestleMania. Remember, stay safe, jam that jam.
What, and they both enter the Rumble and eliminate each other at the same time and win the Rumble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Helford said, did you guys see Gargano's tweet? So awesome of him to say, so excited for his return, whenever it is. Maybe love Johnny Wrestling. Yes, he did tweet. And also, Memberg for 3 months there, Hell Lord. Yeah, he did say, I heard your chants, because they were doing a lot of chants from last night.
So Khan said in an interview that a dream debut is coming.
Danhausen.
All right.
I mean, it could have been Danhausen.
I wouldn't have said that in a big public interview.
Tony, hold on.
Yeah, maybe he's in a bubble.
Yeah. Jack Nichols, I just watched your predictions, and I think it's clear that the Frozen Man from Canada, a.k.a. Tempest, a.k.a. the Yeti, deserves to win. A $5 for that display alone. What a legend. Have a great day, lads. The Jam 1 Jam Beard, yo, listen up. Here's a story about a little guy that... Yo, listen up. Here's a story about a little guy that lives in a blue world. And all day and all night and everything he sees is just blue. Like the life inside and outside. I struggle to remember how that went.
Well done, though. I didn't know what the hell that was.
I got it a little bit. And then I got about 3 lines in. Then I was like, how does the rest of it go? So I know it goes inside and out. I can't remember the rest of it. Anyway, Mandy Savage, been a Memberg for 9 months, who says, happy 3rd birthday to the best big brother ever, Emmett. Emmett is the best. Emmett number 1. If Luke and Ollie tell you to call me Mum, not Amanda, maybe you will.
3rd birthday. So, big brother, but it's not her big brother. It's a little baby's bigger brother. Call them Amanda.
10 Ruzza, I like this has been called last minute chathausens. 10 Ruzza, these streams need to be 2 hours. Too much to talk, plus good money from our chats. Also, if you want, you could do Monday Night Rose Riesling shows and All Elite Wine Club this month. Hashtag Wine52. I'm in Australia, so I can't even get it, sadly. Hashtag Miro come back. The mayor of Painesville, Danhausen, gimmick infringement right there. I'm going to challenge him to a match in Painesville-hausen when he gets to keep the Dan name. Scent of a Wookiee said, ladder match was 5 out of 5. Ollie, what's wrong with you? Legit Layla Hirsch for Team Taz, pretty please. What faction do you think will be the first with more than one woman? Britt Baker's faction. She already has it.
Yeah.
Would love for a faction fuse to spill over into the women's roster. That I completely agree with.
Well, maybe go subscribe to partsFUNknown, because later today, I think someone called Tempest has a video essay on that exact idea.
He stole it from me. Joe Nero West, book Danhausen for Quizzlemania. Hey, tell that to Adam. Love this episode and debut, by the way. I popped hard. Legit Underboss said, gotta love wrestling Twitter. AEW only signs ex-WWE people. AEW signs Danhausen. I say, who is that? Sign someone I know. Also, CM Punk saying that MJF wears Amazon knockoff scarves is true. They're $12.99. Yeah, there was a lot of that yesterday. The same thing happened with Brody King as well. Like people being like, oh, AEW just only sign ex-WWE guys. They signed Brody King though. Don't know who that is. Can't win. Eric said, this AEW Dynamite was 1,000 out of 10 just for making Danhausen all elite Hausen. Jam that Jamhausen. DAD for president. I don't think I can. I'm not American. Although, did you know that Tempest can be our prime minister? Because he's part of the Commonwealth.
I wouldn't stand for it. Even if that's legal or whatever the correct thing is. I wouldn't let that happen.
You wouldn't let a Canadian become the Prime Minister of the country.
A Frenchie? Trying to sneak in through the other side?
Kyle Jeffries, I am donating again just to make this podcast longer. Love your guys' content.
I feel like a lot of people have picked up on me going, come on, let's get this next one.
I've got a train to catch. Eric has been a member for 6 months in a row, said, I want to be paid like Ollie gets paid by WWE.
Oh, come over to the dark side, Eric. It's amazing. It's how we can afford all this wine.
You don't need to be able to afford it. It's free.
That's a good point.
And Omar Jose, lastly, said, sorry for the typo. I meant to say good God. Also, something I found hilarious was Shivani whispering sucks at the end of every MJF chant. I love this company.
Very, very good.
Whew.
Oh, loads of stuff. And we've got plenty more to come, including Eddie Kingston on tomorrow's episode of the WrestleTalk podcast. God damn.
Yeah, me and Denise will be chatting with Eddie Kingston, a special Q&A episode tomorrow. He should be around for sort of 20 minutes-ish, I reckon. So we're really excited to have him on the show. So yeah, join us tomorrow. It'll be on at 4 p.m. UK time, which is 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific.
Honestly, my favorite wrestler of the last year. I love that guy.
When they emailed me and said, do you want to have Eddie Kingston come on the show? He's free this Friday. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes. There was only like a handful of names they could have said that I'd have been more excited for. And even then, it's not.
Kevin Kelly doesn't work there.
Well, exactly, yeah. It was like, him or Tony Schiavone.
God damn.
Eddie on the show tomorrow. Cannot wait.
Subscribe right now, because not only have you got that tomorrow, you've got the Royal Rumble live reactions. It's the Jamble. It's on Sunday. Saturday, god damn it, premium live events. Should we take a look at someone else who's declared?
So I've been with WrestleTalk for about 2 years now, and in that time I've had several different titles. I started off as a YouTube moderator, and then Ollie named me Mod Mother, and then I was head moderator and now operations coordinator, and I've had such a good time working with the company and, climbing the rungs of the corporate ladder, but there's one title that I have not even had a chance at yet until now. The Jam That Championship, that title. I want that. I think that I've put in the work and the effort for it, and I think it's my time now. So, to my British boys over there, you may see me, when it comes to an employee, as the American dream. Well, since I'm in the Jamble now, you're going to see me as your competition, your American nightmare. See you at the Jamble.
Mod Mother Jenna, with her shaved head that's grown back so quickly.
And impressively.
She's got my hair now.
Looks great.
Paid good money for this hair. She just has it naturally.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I can't remember what number she got at the Jamble stream yesterday, but if you enjoyed this stream, I highly recommend, if you haven't seen yesterday's Royal Jamble predictions, the numbers picking was a lot of fun. It went off the rails, and man. So Jenna has got number 7. She has got number 22 and number 3.
So that's 3 numbers. That's a 1 in 10 chance, but there's another Rumble. So it's actually a 6 in 60 chance, which is also a 1 in 10 chance.
Andy has got the number 30 spot, and he is now supremely confident because he thinks Brock and Ronda are winning their Rumbles, and they'll both be number 30 entries.
Yeah, so Andy could win both Rumbles.
Yeah.
We've just had one more chat come in. Pointless AF has said, anti-WWE Twitter users, stop signing ex-WWE guys. Tony Khan signs a big independent wrestler. Anti-WWE Twitter users, oh my God, you should, you should actual big wrestling stars. Sign actual big wrestling stars, I think they say. I can't handle wrestling Twitter. Hey, don't go on there.
Don't go on it.
I don't.
Yeah.
It's a horrible place. I know it's got nice people on there, but I think the cost massively outweighs the benefit.
But you know what? Speaking of cost, but maybe not outweighing benefit because it's such a low cost, free wine! Wine52.com. That link nearly worked. Please click the link in the video description down below. Wine52.com/WrestleTalk. Get yourself 3 free bottles of Winehausen for just the cost of your postage and packaging. UK viewers only. We're better than you, and we drink it. This is a perfect gift for a loved one this coming Valentine's.
Do you know what? I've come up with my own saying. Wine is evening coffee. You know, coffee gets you started, gets you going. Wine brings you back down.
Yeah.
Brings you back down.
Thank you.
Right. Subscribe. Eddie Kingston. Royal Jamble. There's never been a bigger 2 days. Jam that jam.
Jam that jam, everyone. Love you all.